All right. So you may have been noticing that as those questions are going by, it gives us time to actually transition out to one team and pull on the next team. That's why we have it. So if you're wondering, but it takes a button. So again, Michigan State, great job. You guys have all your backgrounds coordinated. Fantastic. Thank you. And who's going to present? And do you guys have your slides ready?
Yes. Hello. I'll be presenting. We have our slides ready. Yep.
Great. Go for it.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is David Filipovic, and I'm a fourth-year graduate student at a PhD program in biomedical engineering at MSU. I will be presenting our solution from our diverse team of mostly engineering students that it concerns Mediglass, an AI solution to address diabetes healthcare costs, literacy disparities in minority populations. So just we've talked about this before during the competition, but just to refresh, diabetes and its effect on groups with lower health literacy. Diabetes affects about 34.2 million Americans at the time. An additional 88 million are estimated to be afflicted with prediabetes. It is disproportionately present in racial and ethnic minorities and persons of lower socioeconomic status, as can be seen on the figure under. Complication rates are also disproportionately high in these groups. Lower health literacy has been linked to these disparities. And increasing health literacy has been shown to be a crucial component of decreasing health disparity. And we are focusing on the part of health literacy that is healthcare cost, which is an important component. Current diabetes management solution can be kind of grouped into three categories. There are glucose tracking solutions, diet tracking, and generally lifestyle management solutions. Unfortunately, most of these solutions require health literacy to be used properly rather than ending up increasing health literacy. On the other hand, current healthcare cost solutions, such as Fair Health Consumer, are able to estimate your healthcare expenses. However, they are based on specific procedures, as can be seen here, where we have searched for blood sugar testing strips for home glucose monitor, and we got an estimated price. So these solutions are not diabetes specific and require significant prior knowledge of the diabetes disease progression and all the related procedures and medications. So the problem here is that it is difficult to predict the fiscal cost of diabetes care, and the lack of cost transparency increases disparity in care, reducing patient autonomy, lifestyle, and care decisions. So our proposed solution is a resource dedicated to health cost literacy. We will be developing a mobile app and a web resource where consumers enter their basic health information and information related to diabetes, and they then obtain an individualized report that lists potential patient-specific treatment course and estimates the financial cost. This will be essentially a healthcare cost simulator where patients can actually alter their specific parameters and see how they affect their treatment. For an example, if a consumer learns that going to provider A would save $25 per month compared to provider B for the same care, obviously the action that the consumer can take is to go to provider A. If the consumer learns that adding 500 steps per day for their health profile will save approximately $2,000 per year, now we have real motivation for the consumer to go out and walk more. So our approach is laid out in two specific aims. Specific aim one is to link health choices to fiscal costs in order to increase diabetic patient engagement. So even though this is a chronic disease that has been thought to be incurable in the past, now it's known that it can be affected by voluntary lifestyle modifications. So positive however, positive long-term health outcomes are very difficult to conceptualize in the short run. Lower socioeconomic populations are also more vulnerable to falling towards the fallacy of time discounting, especially regarding their health. If consumers have an immediate cost-saving model that is tied to their positive or negative health behaviors, it will allow them to help conceptualize how their present and future behaviors can reward or detriment their long-term health. It will enable them to make more well-informed decisions about their health, and they will also have an external reward in order to reinforce the importance of maintaining long-term health behaviors. So therefore, our project aims to use artificial intelligence to develop a cost model, converting specific behaviors to a monetary value, initially focusing on Michigan residents only. By providing this tool to the public, we hope to promote better decision-making in regards to a diabetic patient's long-term health outcomes. Our specific aim too is to increase health literacy and cost transparency of diabetes-related medical procedures and medications to help patients define the value of those services and enable patients and other care purchasers to identify, compare, and choose providers that offer a desired level of care. Low levels of health literacy and the lack of pricing information definitely contribute to high cost of healthcare spending. Some for-profit hospitals have even been shown to recommend more expensive procedures and recommend their doctors to do that. This predatory behavior has been shown to disproportionately occur within non-white patients and in low-income areas. If consumers have easy access to the cost of their specific operation, procedure, or drugs, it allows them to easily compare brands, interventions, hospitals, and insurance policies and choose one that fits their needs. Also, navigate their treatment plan better and advocate for themselves health by themselves. And also have an informed conversation with their provider and design a treatment plan that will work for them. Our project aims to use artificial intelligence to estimate the cost of any procedure or medication related to diabetes, but in a local context, like in Michigan. By providing this tool to the public, we hope to increase cost transparency and thereby reduce overall diabetes healthcare costs and improve healthcare outcomes. Our proposed machine learning model is actually two-stage, where in the first stage, we have a diabetes net, where we will essentially produce a severity indicator of how severe the disease is, how progressed it has become. And the inputs for that network are essentially demographic information and some diet and physical activity information. So gender, age, ethnicity, and similar information. Then on the second stage, we have the cost net that will estimate the cost. So it will take as inputs the severity indicator from the diabetes net, and it will also take as input medical history, the location of the patient, treatment plan, and insurance type. And the parameters marked in red are the parameters that are tunable and that the patient can actually experiment with to see how they will affect their final bottom line. In terms of feasibility scaling, some solutions for healthcare cost estimates already exist. The novelty that we propose is that we will focus on diabetes-related costs, we will focus on Michigan, and we will focus on integration with diabetes status and progression. Scaling to other markets and other diseases may be limited by the availability of data. In terms of impact, our primary disparity that we're addressing is that lower socioeconomic patients have limited access to information about healthcare costs, especially for diabetes, and are incentivized to make decisions for short-term costs and not long-term gains. Impact that we provide will be that we will drive lower socioeconomic patients to make more informed choices, feel more empowered about their healthcare by illustrating long-term health choices as short-term dollar impact. Addressing this informational and decision-making disparity should empower diabetic patients to make better lifestyle choices and improve their condition through personal action. Thank you very much. We're ready for any questions.
Great, thank you. And so we have about 11 minutes for questions.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my video's off. How does this interact with, so currently there are a couple of large legislations that are focused on transparency, right? Transparency of cost, transparency of data, incentivizing patient empowerment through portability of data and all of that. So how does this interact with that? And I'm just trying to draw the, how would you determine that this actually is addressing healthcare disparity? Like is there a target like population here? It's not apparent, or it's not very clear to me at least who you're targeting and how, outside of what is kind of the push in healthcare in general around more portability and transparency and data.
Absolutely, that is true. I mean, generally, it's hard to target populations specifically, like how you were saying. our target are lower socioeconomic status patients. However, targeting them directly will require some advertising, marketing, like support from the local policy agencies in order to target that specific population. Samir?
Yeah, if I can jump in real quick on that question. So I think you do have a point there where our solution can or does present benefit to every type of diabetic patient. But I think the point here is that the benefits that we are proposing through our solution will realize their greatest impacts with lower socioeconomic status diabetic patients. And further to your point about how it would interact with that greater push for healthcare cost transparency, we actually propose this idea in the context of seeing that there is a greater legislative push for more hospitals to publish their cost for things like treatments and procedures. And so that would be one of the data inputs for example, our cost net, where we draw a line between severity indicator and the types of typical treatments and interventions that a diabetic patient with that particular severity indicator may go through. And then using that cost information, we can then inform patients about the cost.
How are you going to get the cost related data? I mean, if you have Aetna or if you have United, depending on what plan you have with one of these insurance companies, it's going to be so variable. So I'm curious, is like, where are you going to get this cost information from?
David, if you want to move to the next slide, I think we have some information. I think our plan is to use claims data from sources like Medicare and publish claims data to create an estimate of the cost. So obviously it would be variable in terms of, what kind of insurance plan and where you're coming from in terms of that aspect. But I think as a first stage and as an initial goal for where we want to go with this, the idea is not a specific dollar cost, but rather a more general dollar impact. So if we might not be able to say that you might save $25 from doing this very specific action, but if we can say over a long-term time period of say 1 or 2 months, if you make this gradual change, then your whether your dollar impact might or your dollar cost might be some order of magnitude lower or higher.
Yeah, I'm just also thinking about there's so many different costs, right? There's the cost that the hospital charges the insurance company, but then there's the negotiated rate that the insurance company actually pays. Then there's like out-of-pocket costs, there's copay costs, there's a lot of different costs involved. So just thinking about being clear with people, what actual information are you providing them is more of a comment, but just thinking about that whole system.
Yeah, and actually to jump on that, these data sources list charges, not costs, which have almost no, I mean, this is I won't get into it, but charges have very little relationship to what a service actually costs. And then I would go on beyond that and say, you're going to report what it sounds like the societal cost, the bigger picture cost to the patient that has little or no relationship to what comes out of the patient's pocket. And one of my concerns is that there's very limited evidence that kind of the bigger societal cost of a health service has any relevance to the patient or has much potential for leading to behavior change. And sorry, I don't want to totally rain on the parade. I think there's a lot that's really good here and thoughtful, but I am worried that if you don't know what it costs a patient individually, the patient would care much less.
Yeah, and this model assumes that the patient has discretion of where they would go for their care, which they have no discretion for the most part, because if they're in Medicaid or in Medicare, they're going to go to the provider, and especially if they're in a managed care HMO or something like that, they're going to go to the provider that's in their network, and they're not going to have discretion to go to a cheaper source of care. They won't have any decision in that process. And so most of them will open up their explanation of benefits and say, oh yeah, this was what my provider paid, so what? And they put it in the drawer. It's not going to direct their behavior to a point where they say, oh, they're charging me too much, I'm going to go to a more cost-effective source of care. And so, that decision is not generally in the hands of the patient relative to this particular issue. I think. I may be wrong, but that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. A lot of the interventions now, particularly in the Medicaid space, because we're talking about health disparities, say, we can make an assumption that this can be applicable to Medicaid patients, right? A lot of, I know, payers and other groups are trying to make those meaningful matches at the front end. Okay, thank you. Sorry, guys. This is my daily life. But they're trying to make those matches at the front end to make sure that an individual is matched to a high quality, low cost payer or provider before they, and that's the start of the relationship. So this, depending on the implementation of this solution, it may come after they've already run the algorithms to say this is a great provider, low cost, high quality for the individual, so.
So this is Shannon. I mean, I think a lot of the vulnerability, what changes patient behavior? We're all wearing Fitbits and we're all still overweight. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the criticism of what changes patient behavior or even clinician behavior in some cases is an open question. We do know that, financial reasons can be a motivator for seeking or disincentive for seeking care. So I do share the similar concerns about how you get the data, but I think the question I have for you guys on the team is, how do you, I guess, how does this scale to other diseases? There are lots of chronic diseases. Diabetes certainly has a large and expensive base, but there are a lot of other places too. Do you think it will scale well beyond just a specific disease, or could it move into other chronic conditions as well?
Yeah, I think it'll scale pretty well. Hypertension being kind of a very obvious second choice. Again, with a lot of lifestyle modifications with it, and a lot of health literacy associated with it. Another silent disease. That's kind of why a big reason we chose diabetes is because since it is a silent disease, for the most part, until things kind of get out of control, it's very important that patients understand things earlier on, and even if they're not noticing a difference physically, they still need to be doing these things, and hypertension is basically right in the same vein as that as well. So I think we could easily expand it to that as well.
Yeah, things like hypercholesterolemia, things that cluster with diabetes and cardiovascular risk as well. All right, thank you.
Just to address the question of essentially our cost estimates, we are looking into using claims data, but to my understanding, a lot of that data is actually behind a paywall. And in order to even get a good understanding of what it is, we might have to make some payments beforehand.
Yeah, I think if you're interested in this topic, many of the commercial insurers have a website actually where you could go in and look at the cost of things. So maybe a good place to start there, just to see like, how do they share this information? What does it look like in certain areas? And maybe that will give you some insights that you could use.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so it's time. So again, thank you, Michigan State team. Great discussion, great presentation.